I believe in sort of a hands-off approach from the federal government. I think that states have the ability to make these decisions. If Alaska voters and Alaska state makes this decision, federal government shouldn't intervene or get in the way. I think that what's happened is that our overzealousness in the war on drugs has caught up a lot of poor people. It's put people in jail for huge long sentences, and really a lot of people have been treated unfairly, but primarily minorities in our big cities. If you go to Chicago, for every person arrested, 15 black people arrested for every white person. And so really we've disproportionately hurt minorities in our country and poor people. And we've made this mistake that putting people in jail for drug use for 15 and 20 years is what we need to do. I think that's wrong. And I think our young people who I think it is a mistake, but I think they should be given a second chance. I'm for freedom. I'm for letting people sell whatever they want, wherever, unless we're at war with the country or, in hostilities. I think we should be allowed to export whatever you'd like to export. I think there are a lot of ways. See, I grew up in Texas, and I've seen oil developed, next to someone's house. I've seen an oil well before. So I think people can live and coexist with oil wells without trashing the environment. And I think you could have rules about how you do it and make sure that it's done safely. But I think we've learned a lot about how to get oil out of the ground without messing up the environment. And I see no reason why we couldn't do it in ANWR as well. I would get rid of the entire tax code. The entire tax code is 70,000 pages long. And I think it's scaring American companies and American jobs overseas. We're losing companies to Europe. We're losing companies to Canada because their taxes are better than ours. I'd get rid of the whole thing and I'd replace it with one rate. You'd fill out your tax return on one piece of paper, and I'd have 14.5% for business and 14.5% for individuals. I'm for a work visa program. The H-1B visas is for those who have degrees and technical skills. I'm for expanding that. And I'm also for having more work visas for agricultural work. If you have enough work visas, that means you're allowing people to legally come into the country, then you won't have illegal immigration. One of the reasons you get illegal immigration is that you aren't allowing enough legal access.
So how would you expand the H-1B program? Can you talk about that?
I'd do it by law. I'd expand the numbers.
And what would be the process? I mean, I guess could you talk about your priorities? Like how high would that rank?
I don't know what the exact number is. That's going back and forth, and I think currently depends on how much demand there is, whether there are jobs that are going unfilled. So it is jockeying back and forth between American grads trying to get those jobs and immigrants. And really we ought to make sure that American grads are all being employed, and I think you're supposed to before you open it up for foreign grads. I think the number one priority for the federal government is defending our country. And I think the number one priority for federal spending is, our military bases that we use to defend the country. We have 2 bases in Kentucky, and you have bases here, and I'm a very big believer that we should defend funding for those bases. Well, I think strategically, being so close to Russia and sort of the access to a whole part of the world that is different from the mainland 48 is very important, and I think it's something that we shouldn't lose sight of. Really, that I'm running for office, I'm really concerned about the country. I'm concerned about how much debt we're accumulating. We're accumulating debt about $1 million a minute. We borrow $1 million a minute, and it can't go on. So in order to do it, we need to do one simple thing: only spend what comes in.